ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Common Man Show. And I say welcome back, folks, because it has been a while. We have been gone for 2 weeks. And like I was trying to figure out how's the best way to put it. It would be like the booty call, folks. And please forgive me if this sounds abrupt or wrong, but it's like the booty call, where every once in a while you're gone for a little bit of time, and then you make a phone call or you receive the phone call. So whether you're the booty call or the booty caller or booty call E, and I've been both. Oddly enough, I have been both. But you have that moment when you get that phone call and you go back, and for that brief time and that brief hour that we're going to be here, it is just so good. But folks, enough of that part. Enough of that comparison. Welcome back to the Common Man Show. This is your host, Gabriel Nila, coming to you from the inner sanctum sanctorum here in Austin, Texas, and we are just glad to be back. I would say it's great to be back, and it is. So I'm going to say it. It's great to be back. And folks, I want to tell you that the Common Man Show is brought to you by these guys right here, folks. The Scoop on El Paso. I'm moving it up a little bit so you can see. It is the ScoopInElPaso.com, folks. If you go to the ScoopInElPaso.com, they are the online business directory in El Paso. Okay, it is El Paso's one-stop website that helps you find out the what, when, and where in El Paso. It's a site managed by El Pasoans for El Pasoans, and folks, you can not only can you find them here online, but you can also find them on Facebook. If you go to Facebook.com, do a search of the Scoop in El Paso, and you will be able to find the great group that's over there. And I can't say enough about what they are doing over there on the Scoop in El Paso. It's phenomenal stuff. Okay, we're working on a couple of things. Let me just put it to you this way. We teased about it last program here on UStream that we were going to be doing something big, and we're still doing something big, but it's just taking a little bit of time to make sure that this whole big component is working at its maximum capacity. So we haven't got we're still tweaking out the little bugs here and there, but let me tell you right now, it is going to be phenomenal. You're going to love it, and you're going to be amazed as to what we're going to be doing here with the Common Man Show. I'm not going to say it's going to happen on this site. I'm not going to say it's going to happen on the Common Man Show, but the Common Man Show is being a part of this other thing that's going to be really, really big. Let me just put it to you that way. But folks, let me tell you where you can find the Common Man Show program. Obviously, you're here on UStream, and we're very glad that you're here with us. We're thankful that you're here because, like I said before, we're a small program. We're not that big. We're not that phenomenal. But we're slowly picking up a little bit of steam here and there, and we're thankful that each and every single one of you that's watching this program live, that is listening to this program, and is watching this program on YouTube. That's right, I said YouTube because we're recording this program, and we're going to be uploading it straight into YouTube so you guys can see the program at any time, day or night, on your handy-dandy mobile device. You can also listen to it on your handy-dandy mobile device, such as mine right here. It's a little thin one. It's not an iPhone, but hey, it works. It's an Android, and I love it. But folks, you can find the Common Man Show on Facebook. If you go to facebook.com/The Common Man Show, or go on the search button and type in The Common Man Show, you will be able to find us there. And you can click on the like button, tell us what you think. We are more than happy to take all compliments and all negative comments that you may have about this program. Why? Because it's the only way we're going to get better. If you think we're doing something wrong, then fine. Let us know so we can fix it, and we can say, thank you, listener, thank you, viewer, for pointing that out, because we want to make sure that we give you the best product available. You can also find us via audio format on the following sites, folks. If you have an account on SoundCloud, where you get to listen to a lot of independent groups just playing their rap, playing their folk, playing whatever you want to listen to. In fact, the music that you heard on here, which is from DCOM at the beginning of the program, is actually from SoundCloud. You can find us there, and you can also find us on iTunes. And the place that I love going to, because I've got some people that I have favorites on this site, is over on Stitcher Radio. If you go to Stitcher.com, you will find thousands of different audio programs, and out of those thousands, and I mean thousands, we're one of them. And it just seems amazing. It sounds like it's a small accomplishment, but folks, it is big. It is a big accomplishment because let's say, for example, you wanted to listen to, I don't know, Adam Carolla or even something on Fox News. You can type in my name and we're going to kind of fall, we're not going to fall in the exact same areas, but we sit in that same realm of Stitcher Radio where you can say, oh, there we are. There's a Common Man Show. Oh, great. Okay, let me click it on. And it's just beautiful stuff. Now, folks, we've been out, and I don't want to belittle of us not being here. But we've had some, like I said, we had some big stuff that's been going on. We're working on a couple of things. But during that time that we were out, we're still doing our program on all digital radio. Now, we have some big announcements. If you listen to last Sunday's program, the Common Man Show on all digital radio is moving. We are actually going to be moving on the 15th, and I want to make sure I say that date correct, because if I don't, I'm going to feel really silly. But on the 15th, yes, on the 15th, folks, we are going to be changing the time that you hear the Common Man Show on all digital radio. So you will be able to find us at 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific, on all digital radio, where we will be doing our hour program. And you're probably wondering, well, what's going to be going on with the Common Man Show on UStream? Well, we're still doing it. I mean, hey, we're here. And we're getting back into the groove. And we're getting back into the cycle of things. But we're going to be moving it to a different day. And more than likely, it's going to be this day. We're going to be here on Thursdays, regularly scheduled at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, or 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So you'll be able to watch this program. And then, of course, we're going to be uploading it to everywhere that you can find us. And you'll be able to watch this program at any time, day or night. But if you want to watch us live, you're more than welcome to, and click on the link and say, hey, guess what? I just saw you guys there. So that's going to be the big announcement. Next week, we will not be on our normally Wednesday schedule, but we are going to be here on Thursday. We were trying a couple different days. We tried Tuesday for a while. Didn't quite work out because there's been some stuff that we've been wanting to take care of. And, of course, you have the primaries. You had the runoffs that were going on here in Texas, and so we wanted to see what's going on and kind of capture that whole mysticism of or the excitement of the runoffs and the primaries that were going on here in Texas. And there's some other things that are going on work-wise for me that's kind of making me have to make some adjustments, but that's okay because we're here and we're going to be doing this program week in and week out, and we're just so glad to be back. Now, I want to continue on, but I want to thank a couple of people. First person I want to thank, I want to give a shout out, and I want to say thank you very much for allowing me to be on your program. And who I want to thank is a gentleman by the name of Armando F. Sanchez. He does a program on a different station, on a different internet program on Blog Talk. And he has a program that's called Latino Role Models and Success. And I had the opportunity earlier this week to spend time with him, talking about half an hour, 45 minutes, just to talk about what I've done in education. And we're and you're probably wondering why we're talking about education. Well, there's stuff that's been going on in Texas, and especially, as you guys are familiar with, in El Paso, that has been detrimental to our children. But we had an opportunity to talk, and so I got to give him a little bit of my insight as to me being me, I guess, if you will. I'm not going to say I'm a role model by any stretch of the word. Okay, I can't say that. I can't possibly feel that I am. I'm going to put it to you this way, folks. In all honesty, I'm a guy who works 9 to 5. He went to school. He struggled because he was an idiot when he started off school, thinking that he was going to be the big man in campus because he was going to the University of Texas at El Paso, and he knew his stuff, when it turns out that I didn't. And so I failed miserably. And so I don't want to think that I'm the big guy that was able to succeed. It took me years to finish what I was doing. I had barriers along the way that prevented me to complete my task in a timely fashion. I've got friends, folks, that finished their degrees early. And I've got friends who completed their degrees on time. And so I can't say that I'm a role model. But I am a person that people can use to say, I don't want to do what that guy did because he's a knucklehead. And if you guys remember why I'm saying knucklehead, go back to one of the last programs that we had on all digital radio, and you can hear exactly why. And I'll even admit it. I tell that to my daughter. I'm not the brightest guy. I'm not the smartest one out there. But it took me a while to get there, and I did it. And so we had a chance to talk, and we got to talk about what I did, and it was kind of a lesson for everybody else, if you will, to see what is wrong and how you don't do some of the stuff that I did. Now, one of the things that you can probably get out of there is that you do not give up. I told Mr. Sanchez of a phrase that my mom always told us, and the last time I heard her say it was prior to my niece passing away when she needed to have surgery. And what she says, and I have it engraved in my graduation ring, is no te rajes. And you're probably wondering, okay, many people are probably wondering, what's no te rajes? Well, it is a nice way of saying don't give up and don't give in. If you have a barrier, you have one of three options. You either break that barrier so you can pass it, you either find a way to go around the barrier, or you sit there and cry. And I was taught a long time ago, you don't sit there and cry, because what happens is that you don't move. You don't get anywhere. So you have to find a way to get to your goal, or you have to find a way to get to where you need to get to so that you can be happy and be successful. And for me, it took me years to do that. Now, granted, I have my daughter, okay? And as you guys have heard me from time in and time out, I have pushed to have custody of my daughter, and I have custody of my daughter. She was born from a previous marriage. I have her now. And I use myself as an example for her to learn so that she can see. I don't want to say she wants to learn, but I want her to see the reality of the situation, is that if you do what I do, or if you do what I did, you're going to end up in the same mess, and it's going to take you longer to get where you want to go. And I tell her time and time again, follow my examples and learn what not to do. Follow my examples and learn the right things out of there, but learn what I did wrong so that you can become better than me. That's the goal that I always tell people. The end result is for the child to do better and be better than the parents. And so I use myself as an example for her at all times. I show her that it is possible to get an education while you're still working and still raising a child, especially when I was a single father. Even now, now that I'm married, and I've been happily married for 6 years, it's still where you say it's still possible. And you still need to see the struggles that one person takes to become successful, especially in my age, okay? I graduated at 39. So is that embarrassing? Yeah, it's kind of embarrassing. Or actually, I graduated at 37. Is it embarrassing? Yeah, it's still embarrassing. My best friends, who I grew up in high school with, finished theirs early. I didn't. I screwed up. Okay, so I tell them, use my examples to learn where I did wrong so you don't do it. And that was kind of the message that we were trying to tell, that we were talking about in there. Now, granted, there was a little bit of hype up in there, where he's like, oh, it's beautiful that you accomplished all this stuff. And yes, it is. It is beautiful that I accomplished it. But I could have done it without all the dragging out. But I did it. And I went through it. And I'm not necessarily proud of what I did, but I did it. And I was able to succeed. And I just don't want those individuals who are behind me to do the exact same thing. Now, so I want to thank Mr. Sanchez for allowing me to spend time with him talking about what we did and talking a little bit about me. And if you guys get a chance, I think I have it posted on the Common Man Show fan page on Facebook, where we spent time on that part, and I enjoyed myself very thoroughly. The other person I want to thank this week is that we had a special time with Michael Show. And you've heard me talk about him here. And if you go to my fan page, you'll see that he's a fan of the page. He's a gentleman from California also, who does a program called the Michael Show Podcast. And we got to spend time just talking about stuff. It was just beautiful stuff. And I think it's going to be released this coming Sunday, where we talk politics, we talk jails, we talk about prison, we talk about the Batman saga, or the Dark Knight Rises with the whole James Holmes situation. It was kind of a lighthearted conversation, but we still had reasonable conversation when it came to all the stuff that's going on, plus all the stuff that's going on in California, especially when it comes to taxes. He's just so angry about the stuff that's going on in California, and rightfully so. He has a reason to be upset with everything that's going on there. We're probably going to talk about something that's going on in California that just amazed the hell out of me, where you had a bond go from $105 million to close to $1 billion that's going to be owed. But we're going to probably come back to that later on. But I want to thank these two individuals. And if you get a chance, go to my fan page, go to the Common Man Show. We're going to post up those links again so you can see where these programs are going to be at. And that way, I know one's going to be released already on Sunday. One's already released now, especially the one with Mr. Sanchez has already been released. We'll get the link. We'll post it on there so you guys can listen about some of the stuff that we talked about. And then, of course, come Sunday, we're going to prep you up to listen to the Michael Show podcast. And it's just been great. I just got to tell you right now that it's been great talking to these guys. And it's not to toot my own horn because I'm just a guy. I'm just one person who does this program. But we've had some great times being on different places and having people come in when it comes to people doing what we're doing here. I've been able to talk to Mind Runner off of on All Digital Radio as well as Deb De La Terza. We've been able to talk to the BS podcast with Isaac and Ruben. We spent an hour with them talking to them, and it was just great stuff. And we've listened to and we've talked with Mark Merrick. I think the last time we were on, I called him Mike. So allow me to apologize to you, Mark. It's Mark Merrick of the Bumpus podcast. And yes, folks, there is a city in Virginia called Bumpus, Virginia. There is a place called that. So, folks, we've had some great times with him. We've even had Travis Clark. His dad's an actor. He's an actor as well. I didn't get the connection between him and his dad until afterwards I talked to him, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's my dad. And it was like, okay, great, thanks. We kind of left it as that. But great time talking to him about the Supreme Court when the final decisions were being made. But we've had some great times on there, and we're going to have even more. We're going to try to get more people who do what we do here on this program to talk about all the different stuff possible. But folks, let us continue with what we do here, and that is conservative talk from the common man perspective, the common man being me at this present time. Folks, it has been still an interesting time going on when it comes to the world of politics and when it comes to the world of education. But before we talk politics, let me go back. Let me circle back to the time that we were talking about education. As I mentioned, I was on the Latino Role Models in Success with Armando Sanchez. Here in Texas, we had some dismal stuff going on when it came to education. Obviously, we have this No Child Left Behind that's going on. And the test results came out for El Paso and Texas. And in El Paso, we had 9 schools. We had 9 school districts. I'm going off the El Paso Times here. We had 9 school districts and 9 campuses across El Paso, across the county itself, that failed to meet federal accountability standards, meaning that they screwed up. They didn't get our students and our children educated enough to go ahead and pass the standards that they need so that they can pass these kids and get them ready for the following year. I mean, we're talking about high school education that people just can't pass math. And that's one of the big spots that they're having problems with. They're having problems with math. And we have these schools out there that just aren't doing well. And this is coupled with the fiasco that went on in El Paso County, with the El Paso School District, with Dr. Garcia and his whole thing of trying to flub the numbers at one high school. And in Texas as a whole didn't do well, and if memory serves me correctly, I think we're looking at about half of the schools didn't do well, where they didn't pass in one section or another, and they didn't meet the criteria. And you have to ask yourself, what is going on? Look, we spend millions, if not billions of dollars on education. We throw out money left and right. Part of the money comes in from lottery winnings, or from the lottery. Some of the money comes in from mineral rights. Some of the money comes in from you and I as we pay our property taxes. And I pay it in 2 locations, folks. I pay property taxes 2 spots, or 2 counties, 2 cities. And they still can't make it right. I know of individuals that have to do the exact same thing also. And the answer that everybody in school is saying is this: we need more money. We need more educators. We need more money. And I've got to tell you this: I'm not ready to go ahead and I'm not ready to say, let's go and throw more money into this crap hole. Because if you throw more money into a bottomless pit, what do you have? Still a bottomless pit. It's not going to end. There's got to be something else that needs to be done in order to think smarter. And I'll put it to this way: it comes to the point where you probably have to look at certain government agencies as a business. And why do I say that? Well, here's why. In business in general, you have businesses that grow and businesses contract. Some of them stay steady. Some of them grow up and grow big, and that's great. Other ones, the ones that contract, either stay small or get consumed by somebody else. Or they get small enough so that they're ready to blow up again and do better. I'll give you a good example. One of the places that I used to work at, and I spent time there, we grew up quite a bit in a casino. And we were kind of a small place, and we grew up, and we grew big. They had an RV, we had a casino with a little table, a convenience store, a restaurant, and then we started blowing up. We started putting in an RV park, we started putting in a convenience store, we started doing all these other things, and they blew it up like wildfire, and they started making money hand over fist. Now, sometimes there was problems. Yeah, there's always going to be problems. There's going to be slow days. But it attracted enough attention that another casino or another business said, hey, we want to go ahead and get some of your good stuff in here. How much is it going to cost you? Well, they crunched some numbers around, and one thing led to another, and the owners said, hey, let's go ahead and sell this business. We're going to become part of this other group. And currently, the business that I'm in right now, I can safely say this: we've had times where we were doing really well, and then we had to stop, and then we had to grow up a little bit, then we had to stop, and we got a little bit bigger, and then we had to stop, and then sometimes you have to shrink just a little bit to make sure that you can blow up again, even bigger than what you were before. But that's okay, because that's a part of business. That's part of nature, and that's part of the nature of the business. So to have people saying, well, let's throw more money into this whole school district, into this whole school concept, and let's not take any more money out of it, is almost asinine, if you will. Because, I say this with having educators in my family, with having educators teaching in the state of Texas. And they can probably end up telling me later on, you're just so wrong on so many levels. But here's where it's got to start. Up here. Folks, up here. Everything has to start looking down to saying, okay, what are we spending on and what are we doing wrong here? And let's move it on down. Because obviously we've got stuff that's going on here that's preventing this information and preventing the dollars to come down here to help out my kid, to help out your kid, and to help out everybody else. Now, I understand that a lot of people up here don't want to have that change. But sometimes you got to have that change up here or even right here so that these people down here can get taken care of and make sure that they're doing what is needed. Now, it's my understanding about some of the stuff that's going on here with the education process and some of these tests is that these tests, especially the STAR test that has been replaced, that is replacing the tax here in Texas, is designed to help get children or get get junior high students, middle high school students, and high school students prepared for the university level, because one of the things that they've found is that a lot of kids getting out of school just weren't ready for the university level. Which is one of the things that I like. One of the things that I like to promote about education is that sometimes you don't have to go from the university level all the way up here, or from the high school level all the way up here to the university. There's a place in the middle that you can go to that can prepare you to move up here, to go into the big boys, which is the community college level. Here in Austin, you see the buses driving around, and you see on occasion a sign from ACC, which is Austin Community College. And they have a sign that says, start here, go there. And a friend of mine who was on the radio mocked them for saying that. It's like, how dare you? Why in the world are you saying start here and go there. Why can't you start there instead of starting here? And no one came to the realization that just some people aren't ready to start there and they're prepared to start here. I was one of them. I told you before, I screwed up royally. And I probably should have started here instead of starting there so that I can become better. So it's one of those ideas that we have to utilize a little bit more and probably say, okay, let's go ahead and prepare people here if we need to. And obviously these people that are worthy enough to go up here, go in there and do it. But let's bring you over here if we have to. And it's just kind of an interesting conversation when you have people tell you, well, we're teaching the kids to go ahead and prepare for the university in junior high because they're not ready in high school. And it's kind of scary because I want them personally to be junior high school students or middle high school students and prepare for high school. That way they can prepare for real life. Because we don't need our kids, and this is just my opinion, folks, this is just my opinion. We don't need our kids to grow up faster than they already are. Let them be kids. Let them be kids in junior high. Let them be kids in elementary school. Let them tear their knees up in elementary. Let them learn some of the mysticisms of puppy love in middle school. And then when they get into college, into high school, let's prepare for the real world. Let's start preparing them instead of starting them over here. Oh, goodness. But yeah, we've got schools that just aren't prepared. And of course, in this situation, they now have to be under certain guidance to make sure that they don't screw up anymore. Because if they continue on with not getting these schools or getting these students ready, then they have to face different stages. Now, obviously, a lot of them are in the initial stages where they're saying, hey, we're watching you, fix it from inside. And it gets to the point where if they continue, then it gets into an even worse situation where the students are able to get away from that school and have to be bused to another place or transported to another school that's similar. And it gets to the point where even then, when they go into the last stage, which is stage 5, they can remove the principal and have the government step in and say, okay, we're going to run this place for you guys. And we may have to end up doing a whole different program just to talk about the education system in Texas and in particular in El Paso with what the hell's going on over there. Because there is just so much to talk about in that whole umbrella, which we may try to get someone in to talk to us a little bit about what they are experiencing and what they know about what's happening over there. But folks, we want to continue on. We're going to move away from there because I'm going to say something that's just going to upset me dearly. Because as I mentioned before, I'm into this whole education part. I want my kid, and I want my kids and my future, and the people that are going to grow up to become successful people to know what's going on in life. But we're going to move on a little bit. We want to talk a little bit more about politics. Obviously, we're moving closer to the conventions. And we have people, our president and the presumptive nominee for the Republican Party, Mitt Romney, have their conversations. And they're talking about, I want to build business, I want to do this, I want to do that. And one of the interesting things and kind of scary things that came up occurred today with the president. The president has been talking or been touting the success of the auto industry, where they're like, oh yeah, we're doing great, everything's all nice and pretty. We've done so well that we're doing great. And he made a comment today that's kind of scary, that freaked me out a little bit. And it freaked out a lot of other people that have been listening to his speech. In his speech, he is touting he's saying, oh, we did really great in the auto industry. Look, they're becoming number one in the business. GM is doing this, GM is doing that. So I think we need to bail out all the businesses in the United States. Let's bail out the manufacturing business. Let's bail out the hospital industry. Let's bail out these other businesses that supposedly may need help because it's the right thing to do. There's a problem with that. There's actually several problems, and one of them I haven't heard yet, okay? But there is a small problem. And it comes to the point of government control. The big part that I have an issue with is this. If we remember correctly, GM, we paid into, and I say we, meaning you and I, as taxpayers, via the federal government, gave X amount of dollars as bailout to the unions and GM to help them do what they're doing. And you and I, apparently, in theory, own a stake of General Motors. Now, we can say that, but the reality of the situation is that we don't. It's the federal government that owns it, or owns a stake in it. Let's say, for example, we want to bail out the manufacturing business. Let's say we want to bail out IBM. IBM's having problems. I don't think they are. But if they're having problems, let's go ahead and bail out IBM. Let's go ahead and bail out Hewlett-Packard. Let's go ahead and bail out some other industry that's out there that builds sofas. Let's just use them. So we're bailing out IBM. We're bailing out HP, and we're bailing out more furniture. Just use that as an example. Or we're bailing out the people that own let's bail out Sealy. Just for the sake of argument, let's bail out Sealy Posturepedic. So what does that mean? Well, we would be giving them tax money to go ahead and take care of what they have to take care of, and then, of course, they would pay us back and blah, blah, blah. They would eventually pay us back, but if they can't, guess who owns it? I would say us. I would say you and I, but the reality of the situation is that it's the federal government that would own these industries and these businesses. So what can they do? They can create their own rules of saying, oh, okay, we're going to build these, we're going to charge you this much, and we're going to end up paying this amount of money. Because if you think about it, stockholders have a big say in what goes on, especially if they have majority share. We went back, we talked about that story about the casino I used to work at. And the story, there's a side story behind that, where we had two brothers that owned this casino. And we'll leave their names out of this conversation. But we had a third person that was a general manager. And the two brothers said, look, we can go back and forth saying, I agree, I disagree, or whatever, but we need to have one other person involved in the stakes to end some of the draws that we have. So we're going to give this one guy 1%. You give him 0.5%, I give him the other 0.5%, and we're going to give person X a 1% share in this business so that he can have a final decision as to what goes on. Now, when they sold this casino to this other bigger casino, one brother did not want to sell. Why? Because it was his dad's business. His dad grew up building this place to a nice, comfortable spot where the family was making a consistent, steady stream of money. The other brother wanted to sell so that they can get out of the business and he can concentrate on his other love, which was the arts. So the brother that wanted to sell convinced the other brother, saying, hey, let's go ahead and give this other person who's a GM the 1%. And that way he can make any final decisions. Them not knowing that he was going to fall into a ruse, that when it came time to looking to sell the business, the 1% person ended up saying, let's sell the business. So the brother that wanted to keep the business ended up being duped with the whole thing, and he got screwed. Same premise that would happen, that could happen, if we have a stake in some of these businesses. They're going to be able to say, well, we own you guys. We own majority share of you guys. So as the federal government, we are going to tell you this. Now, we can call it a whole bunch of things. People will call it socialism. People will call it communism. People will call it what you will. Some people will say, it's the right thing to do. Let's go ahead and help these people. I would say no. Why? Because this is a free market society. The reality of the situation is that in capitalism, businesses grow, businesses die. Businesses get eaten up by other businesses, and then you have mergers of other businesses to go ahead and create something even bigger and better than what's out there, or that can compete against some of the other big fish that are out there. And not a lot of people are saying that just yet, but just give it a couple of hours, give it a little bit of time, and somebody's going to say, oh my God, that's just socialism, that's communism. Well, to a certain degree, yeah, I'm not going to say it. But what I'm going to say is that it's going to give the federal government more control over some of these industries. And when he said this, I listened to the audio of it, and when he said this, everybody's like, oh yeah, we should do this. Oh yeah, it's so good. Type thing. They're all laughing and cheering and saying, oh my God, she said, what? Type thing. They're all just cheering this whole thing on. And people like me are saying, no, let's not do this. Because here's the problem that came up with GM that nobody's really touting. People did argue about it, but then everybody's like, oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. Don't worry. Just sit down there and let's go ahead and break bread or something. If you recall, with GM got a bailout. GM got some money from the federal government. Federal government says, okay, thank you for the money. We're going to go ahead, or here's some money. We're going to go ahead and take a stake in it. GM posted an ad saying, we've paid our debt. We're good. We're strong now. We've paid our bills. We understand that part. Well, here's the reality of the situation, folks. They had a loan that they needed to pay. And they used the stimulus money to go ahead and pay off that loan. That way they can work on saying we're going to pay this loan off during the normal standard time. And to the best of my knowledge, I don't think they've actually paid that loan off just yet. Because if that was the case, we wouldn't be saying that we own a part of GM. We wouldn't be saying that right now. I can tell you that much, right? I can tell you that. It scares me. It absolutely scares me to think that we would be able to, or even want to, take another part of a business and say, yep, I own that property. I own that. The federal government owns a piece of you, Business X. Just not pretty. Just not pretty. And of course, we've got, in going with these speeches that are being thrown out, we're going to bring up some other stuff that's going to be kind of interesting this coming Sunday when it comes to some of the ads. But of course, we got the polls out, and I got it on my phone where CNN's like, oh my God, we did a CNN poll. It's a CNN international poll. And the president's leading by 9 points. I checked Rasmussen, who has a better understanding of what's going on and has a clearer understanding of what's happening when it comes to polling. And I say this because, in listening to what he's talked about and listening to what he's doing and how they're getting the data, it seems fairly easy and understandable to do. And even someone like me, who has a little bit of statistics behind them, would understand what they're saying and understand the concept of how they're gathering that data. And it shows Romney leading by a few points. CNN is saying, oh my God, President Obama is leading by even more points. He's leading by 9 points. And of course, Fox News is saying their poll, and they're saying, oh, yep, there's a big separation between them. And people are like, oh, this is going to be it. It's a win-win. It's going to be something great. The president's going to be doing something good, and he's going to be telling businesses. He's going to be asking for more money from you and me so we can help out the little guy. Just wait. Just wait. Okay? As more stuff clears up, it's still too early to tell. I'm going to put it to you this way. Come Monday, somebody's going to do another poll, and we're going to have another shift. And why is that? Because people are going to catch on to what the president said here, and they're going to be like, I'm not too sure about that one. And Mitt Romney's going to say something, and somebody's going to say, I'm not too sure about that one. And of course, people are talking about who's looking for as his vice presidential candidate or his teammate, and people are going to be like, I don't know about that one. I've heard the list. I've seen the list of people that they're looking at, and I'm not impressed with some of them. I would rather have one or two people that would be it, and then we can move from there. But it's one of those things where Rasmussen's been fairly consistent. He's been consistent with what's going on. And even if you try getting him on something else, he's like, no, it's fairly consistent. And he's been fairly good. I can't say anything negative about him on that part. But if we poll tomorrow, we're going to probably get another breaking news on my phone from CNN. Oh my God, Mitt Romney's leading. He's coming up ahead. He's tightening up the polls. We got to do something type thing. It's going to be one of those interesting things that you're going to be like, come on, okay? It's still not even time. Yes, it's great to see the numbers. It's great to hear what people think during various stages of the week. But we're in October. We haven't found out who the nominee is. President Obama hasn't said, hey, I'm keeping Biden. I haven't heard that one yet. I'm pretty sure he's going to keep him. But we haven't heard that area yet, so we can't comfortably say, okay, now we're going into the meat and potatoes of everything. Let's give it another 2 weeks, and then we can start jumping around like crazy little hyenas and say, oh my God, the polls are accurate, the polls are right, because they've been going like this, folks. They've been going up and down. Somebody's leading, the other person's losing, or the other person's leading, and it's going flip-flopping. It's just, sometimes it makes you want to just turn off your phone, get on the computer, and just play games. Or go to something else and just watch something nonsensical, so you don't have to worry about polls, you don't have to worry about politics. It's getting to that point. Especially with the ads. And we're going to talk about the ads on Sunday. We're going to kind of do the last extravaganza on all digital radio before we make the change onto Wednesdays. And we're going to try to go out with a bang on that night to talk about really big stuff. Oh, goodness, folks, it's just one of those odd things that's just going, the whole political thing is just getting annoying to some degree. Now, I do want to bring this up, and it's something that I didn't get to bring up on Sunday's program. And it was talking about wishing a person a very happy birthday. And we're gonna talk about this, and then we're gonna wrap things up. This past weekend was the president's birthday. So I'm the type of person, I get on Facebook, I get this little post-it note saying, hey, it's somebody's birthday. And then you go, hey, happy birthday, such and such person. So I got that message, and of course I go on to my emails, and they're like, oh, it's President Obama's birthday. Wish him happy birthday. Okay, great. I'll go ahead and do that. Why not? I'm not going to do anything mean. I'm not a big fan of his, but it's always great to wish somebody happy birthday. So I do that. I wish somebody happy birthday. And I push the button after I give my name and address. And I push the button to send it, and they're like, oh, by the way, while you're here, how about you donate to the campaign of President Barack Obama? How about you give us some money so that we can go ahead and beat up that mean old Mitt Romney, who's earning more money than we are right now because he's just got some mean old super PACs. They're just being mean to me, and I need money. So I laughed it off, and I said, okay, great. So I sent a tweet. I said, hey, happy birthday, but I can't give you any money right now. I'm not going to vote for you. Well, they put me on a mailing list, and if they read this, they're more than happy to take me off. I have no problem with that. But I'm going to see them. I'm going to see those emails, and I'm going to be reading them on this program and talking about them on my program because, God damn it, sometimes they're funny. Sometimes some emails that you get from a political person can be darn right hilarious. And I can tell you why. Because here's the thing. We have the president who, like, when that happened, I got an email again from Michelle Obama, or this time from Michelle Obama, saying, have you wished my husband happy birthday? Well, I couldn't because they wanted money from me. And, of course, he was out playing golf, and he wasn't working. He wasn't spending time taking care of what he needs to take care of here on the here at the national level. Me, on the other hand, on my birthday, I work, just like hundreds of other people. Now, granted, I may not have the illustrious business or the illustrious work that he has, but seeing how we have a sluggish economy, seeing how we have high unemployment and high underemployment, I'd probably say, honey, let's go spend dinner tonight over here. I'm going to go back to the office and do some work. Instead of saying, honey, I'll meet you over here tonight with the kids. I'm going to go play a round of golf. Granted, it's nice to say that, your birthday is the holiest of holy days. But when you got to work, you got to work. And you have to do what you got to do to make sure that the food's on the table and that everything is taken care of. And for the president, the food on the table is your and my food, yours and my jobs. But no, you had to go play. You had to go play. Now, keep in mind, remember a few years back when he was running, He's like, oh, I don't like super PACs. Super PACs are just mean. And of course he has a super PAC. I'm not going to give you any money. I'm not going to approve of anything that's going on there. Oh, but that's okay. It's a super PAC. I'm not a part of it, but that's okay. I get an email from him afterwards, actually last week, saying, I don't have enough money to run, essentially. I don't have enough money to do what I got to do here, so I need your help. How about you give me $10? How about you give me $5? Give me $5, brother. Give me $5 so I can go ahead and give the money to somewhere else so I can run my campaign. And it's like, no, don't send me the emails. I love them because I'm going to read them here. Okay, I'm going to talk about them here. And we got one 7 hours ago, this morning, okay? And I'll read it right now, okay? And it says my name, Gabriel, which I'm pretty excited that he says Gabriel. The headline's talking about how you and I got beat again by the other side in fundraising. Obviously, Romney's been able to, collect a lot of money. But those headlines aren't going away. I will be outspent this election. And we will not win the ad wars on TV and radio. Right now, the other side is outspending us on TV by at least 2-1 in most battleground states. And that's okay. But only if we're able to keep the spending gap close enough so that our investments in a truly grassroots campaign pays off. Okay? He doesn't like super PACs, but he's going to go ahead and tell them, hey, give me the money so we can go ahead and give it to the super PACs. Go ahead, give me a couple of dollars so I can go ahead and fight these guys over here. And then I have the donate button. It has a donate button. In fact, I'm going to do it right here, folks. On here, we have the donate button where it says, if you click here, you can donate to me. Okay, and you're looking at my email right there. It is just incredible. Absolutely incredible. And you're going to have people saying, oh my God, I need to give them money. I need to help them out. Well, how about you help them out by getting them out the door? How about you tell them, hey, you know what? I can't give you any more money because I don't have any left. Like the way I always tell people, my hope and change is gone because I'm hoping there's still change in my pocket. I'm hoping that the change doesn't screw me over. The change is causing me or giving me less hope that we're going to succeed in life. So we're going to keep on getting these emails. I'm not going to unsubscribe. I'll tell you that much right now. I am not going to unsubscribe. And of course, people are probably going to, if people look at this, they're going to be like, oh, got to get them off. Got to get them off. It's okay. If you want to get me off, take me off the list, take me off the list. I ain't doing it because we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it here. We're going to talk about it anywhere else that we can because we can, folks. We can do that here. But folks, we're going to wrap things up. We're not going to have a chat the moment tonight, because we're getting back into the swing of things. We're going to try to make sure everything is all nice and pretty. But we want to thank you for spending time with us. We want to thank you for being here with us tonight on UStream, because this is going to be the new time, the new place for the Common Man Show on UStream. This program will be reviewed and monitored and then shot up and uploaded onto YouTube so you can watch the video of this. And you're going to be able to listen to this program on the great places such as SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher Radio. But folks, before I leave, I want to thank you again for spending time with us. And I also want to thank the great people at The Scoop in El Paso. I can't say enough about these guys. These guys are just phenomenal. As I always like to say, The Scoop in El Paso is El Paso's one-stop website to help you find out the what, when, and where of El Paso. And of course, it is a site that is managed by El Pasoans for El Pasoans, and it connects businesses to savvy people like you and me who are trying to find those great deals that are out there. We're going to get on out of here. We're going to make sure everything's all nice and pretty here. That way we can prepare for next week and get ready for some of the exciting stuff that's going to be coming on with this bigger endeavor that we're going to be doing. I'm trying to keep it quiet right now. I don't want to burst that bubble. As I've told you before, I've burst that bubble numerous times on other occasions, and I've been let down dearly. We're not going to do it here with this one because it is just that big. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. Let me just put it that way. It's kind of a big deal. But folks, we're going to wrap things up here. We're going to thank you for spending time with us here tonight on the Common Man Show. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have the fun that we have talking to you and bringing people in here to talk about what they're doing in their personal lives and in the political sphere. Folks, this is Gabriel Nila, host of the Common Man Show. Thank you for spending time with us tonight. And we will see you guys next week. You guys take care. Bye-bye.